Hello and welcome back to the Crime Reel. In this week's true crime narration, I shall be sharing the story of Kyota Hattori from Japan. Kyota grew up in Fukuoka's Hakata Ward, and according to those who knew him, he was a cheerful, ordinary guy who was generally quiet and would never cause a scene. He was an average student and was described by a former classmate as having little presence. In 2021, Kyota began to struggle with life. It is believed that he was no longer getting along with his friends, and his long-term relationship with his girlfriend had broken down. It has also been reported that he was sacked from his job at the comic cafe for taking photographs of female customers. In June, he left his home city and drifted from place to place, living in hotels. He spent around a month in Kobe and another in Nagoya. In the autumn of that year, he ended up in Tokyo just as the 2020 Olympic Games were drawing to a close. At around 8:30 p.m. on the 6th of August, a 36-year-old man by the name of Yusuke Tsushima boarded a commuter train on the Odakyu Electric Railway in Tokyo. He sat in the front carriage, and as the express train was between stations, he began stabbing and punching people at random. The 10-carriage train carried somewhere in the region of 400 passengers as Yusuke began his attack. The driver, hearing the commotion in the carriage, promptly brought the train to a stop. Meanwhile, Yusuke threw cooking oil all around the carriage, which he then tried and thankfully failed to ignite. 9 people were injured, one of whom, a woman in her 20s, suffered serious injuries, with the others sustaining relatively minor injuries. During the chaos that followed, Yusuke was able to escape on a stolen bicycle, leaving behind his weapon and mobile phone. The police responded quickly, and a large manhunt followed. Several hours after the attack, Yusuke went into a grocery store in the nearby Suganami Ward, where he told the store employee that, "I am the suspect in the incident reported by news media. I am tired of fleeing." The employee quickly reported this to the local police, and Yusuke was arrested. During the interview that followed, Yusuke admitted to the assaults, stating he had wanted to kill a happy woman for some time, and it did not matter who this woman was. He went on to say that he thought he could kill a large number of people on a train, as there is no way to escape, and that he regretted that he had not been able to kill anyone. This was a fact that was unfortunate to him. He said his life was a misery, and that he blamed society for this. This crime was widely reported at the time, and as a country with a very low crime rate, would have been met with the most universal condemnation. However, for 24-year-old Kyota, Yusuke's actions triggered a plan in his mind. Deeply unhappy with his life and wanting to die, Kyota decided upon a course of action that he believed would lead to him being given a death penalty by the Japanese authorities. On Halloween that year, a couple of months after Yusuke's attacks, Kyota Hattori put his plan into action. Being a huge fan of the Joker from the Batman series of films, he donned a purple suit and green shirt. Hidden on his person was a 12-inch knife that he had purchased online. He left his hotel room in the late afternoon and boarded a Keio Line train at Kyota Hattori station, which was travelling to the Shibuya district. This district is famous for its Halloween street party, and Kyota spent some time wandering around the streets there. After another train journey away from the city, at around 8 p.m. that evening, he switched to an inbound Keio Line limited express train bound for Shinjuku. He sat in the 8th car of the 10-car train along with many other people, some of whom were heading to Halloween parties in the city. Then, all of a sudden, he began his attack that had been inspired by Yusuke's attack just a few months earlier. Kyota sat next to a man believed to be in his 70s who was completely unaware of what was about to happen. Kyota sprayed pesticide into the man's eyes before stabbing him in the right side of his chest. He then swiftly walked to the 6th carriage of the train, where he spread lighter fluid around and set the seats and the surroundings on fire. As the train was so busy, it was difficult to see what was going on, and some of the passengers were slow to react, mainly because they were believing that this was some kind of Halloween stunt. But eventually, panic soon followed. The emergency alarm on the train was triggered as passengers ran from the smoking train carriage. The train then made an emergency stop at the approach to Fukuoka station. It stopped a few metres short of the platform and, unaware of what was going on, the train conductor did not open the doors for fear of the passengers coming to harm on the railway track. At this point, passengers were desperately trying to escape from the carriage as it was engulfed in flames. Video footage shows people running from the carriage and frantically climbing out of the windows of the train in order to escape. Kyota, however, he made no attempt to escape. He remained calmly sitting on the train. In one hand he had a cigarette, in the other he had the knife that was covered in blood. He was arrested without incident at the scene of the crime. He reportedly told the police officers that he knew that he would receive the death penalty if he managed to kill at least 2 people. He said that he had been inspired by the earlier attack and had noticed how the cooking oil used in that attack had not spread, which then made him decide to use lighter fluid instead. Similar to Yusuke before him, Kyota added that it didn't matter who he killed, and he also expressed his regret that no one had died during his attack. He went on to state that he copied the Joker from the Batman movies because of his admiration that the Joker is so comfortable with murdering people, and that his choice of clothing was his best outfit that he had purposefully purchased to wear for this day. 17 people were injured during the incident, one of whom, the man who had been stabbed at the beginning of the attack, sustained life-threatening injuries, but thankfully he survived. Both men have been charged and they are now awaiting their own trials. For the innocent victims caught up in this attack, it must have been truly horrific, and I hope that all the victims recover quickly from their ordeals. Thanks for listening to that case. Please like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and also add any comments down below. I keep getting emails asking how people can help the channel. I would say please subscribe, tell others about the channel. Watching the ads helps, and there is even a buy me a coffee link on the about page or the front page. As always, thanks for the support, it really does mean a lot to me. Thanks very much for listening to the Crime Reel. Stay safe, goodbye. Psst. Shibuya is famous for having the world's busiest pedestrian crossing. At busy times, the Shibuya crossing can have up to 2,500 people crossing each time. Goodbye.